Hey, welcome to Christian Addiction Recovery, where we teach people to transform their existence for the better. No matter where you're at in life, we can always improve. And that's what this channel is about. So let's get it popping. A little background about me. I had all the opportunities and chances to have a successful, fulfilled life. I even was sober a good amount of time, and also sometimes for years. But even in those years, I was not free. I was not free. I was really tormented. See, when I was younger, I had, like most addicts, had some childhood trauma, and it filled me with shame. I even went to church as much as possible. I didn't want to be living the life that I was. I'm sure to most of the people that grew up around me, even up into my late 30s, would not say anything else except for that I just wanted to have a good time. And there may have been a little bit of truth to that, but my wanting to get messed up was a byproduct of not wanting to hurt. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you could probably relate a little bit. I buried that childhood trauma, and I didn't even discover it until my 20s. And when I did, it actually made me feel more abandoned. Like, how could God have let that happen to me? And it put me in a place of turmoil because I loved God, but I know that there was a big part of me that was mad at God that had happened. I was really tormented inside. I tried to keep some kind of media on constantly, movies, TV, radio, all the time. I had to keep my mind busy because when I would stop, I would be forced to face the shame that I had within. And drugs and alcohol really numbed me from having to deal with the torment. Of course, I really wouldn't realize how bad I was until after I got help, because I had normalized my failure of a life. And now 18 months post rehab, I am able to sit quietly, meditate, pray, read the Bible without my mind wandering to 100 different places, and really just be content. And I'm not saying that for any other reason except for that to help someone that is lost realize that there is a hope in a place of joy that we can all get to. We need the help of Christ. And some people can just meet Christ one time, leave everything in their life or all the bad stuff in their life, and completely transform their life. However, most people, though, addicts especially, will battle for years the enemies that they had faced before meeting Christ. Isolation, depression, anxiety, and for me, addiction was a big one. The longer that we've been trapped in addiction or depression, the harder it is to give it up. The reason for that is neural pathways. Neurons in your brain that fire together, wire together. What that means is, say you experience something. Well, all the neurons in your brain are going to connect with whatever your experience is with an emotion, negative or positive. Think of it like this. If you had a grassy field with long grass and you were riding a bike through it, well, the first time that you ride across that field, you're creating a new pathway. But after you go over, next time you go over it, the grass is kind of parted a little bit. It's a little easier to go through that path. 100, 200 times, it's really hard to get out of that path. It's really hard to stop doing whatever that activity was. 5,000 times is near impossible. Okay, that's where I was. Enthralled in addiction. This is why most addicts never get off drugs or alcohol, and they die still addicted to the substance. All of this is very All of this goes for depression too. They're very similar, the way they work in the brain. It's a repeating the same thought over and over again. And once you've thought and felt that negative emotion, like I said, 5,000 times, it is near impossible to not feel that negative emotion anymore. But it's not impossible. In fact, there are many things that we can do to begin to create those new neural pathways and get away from the old ones. Now, here's a few things that really helped me. And first thing, look good, smell good, feel good. Okay. Basically, when I had made it to rehab, I was taking showers when I stunk and brushing my teeth. Brushing my teeth I probably did every day, but I didn't wash my clothes unless they were dirty. It just wasn't clean, and my brain had been used to that. So when I got up in the morning and didn't take a shower and just went throughout the day, and so my brain was already going into those old neural pathways. We're starting the day the same way. So one thing that really helped me when I was at rehab and has helped me since is making sure that I take a shower in the morning, brush my teeth in the morning, put on deodorant in the morning, put on clean clothes in the morning, every morning. Cologne, smell good. It's going to change the way you feel. Now, if you do all of those things in the morning and you are still in the cycle of addiction, switch the order of those things. You got to change the way your brain is going through the day. You have to create a new neural pathway. So even, obviously you can't put deodorant on and put cologne on before you shower, but perhaps you could brush your teeth first, then take a shower. Another really good thing, when you're taking a shower, pay attention to the shower. Pay attention to the water, the way it's hitting your body, the way that you're feeling. Most of us, when we take a shower, we're just thinking about what we're going to do in the day, and we're just ready to get out there. And it's a really good way to start your day mindful. When we are mindful and we are actually in the present moment, then we are creating new neural pathways. But when we're just on autopilot and we're just hopping in the shower while we still think about the same thing that we thought about yesterday in the shower, there's not much hope. You're stuck in that trench. You've got to start doing something else to get out of that trench and create a new trench. Okay, now this one is huge. Number 2, get rid of your smartphone for a while. Okay. 30 to 45 days. The reason why rehabs are usually 30 to 40 days is because it takes that long to create a good new neural pathway that it's hard to get out of that pathway and to kind of let the other one grow over quite a bit. So 30 to 40 days. Switch to a flip phone. Okay? You can still use a tablet to look at YouTube or whatever you're going to do, but try to eliminate that going to the phone, especially first thing in the morning. If you're going to keep your smartphone, put it up or do not look at it until after you shower, brush your teeth, all of that. Okay? Nothing is that important that it can't wait 15 minutes after you wake up. Everything will still be on there. The internet is forever. So anything that was there when you woke up, it's going to be there 15 minutes later. Okay? So try to do that. And social media. Get away from social media. I mean, it is causing depression in everybody. And if you're already dealing with addiction and depression, you don't need anything else piling it on and making it worse. I've been to jail quite a few times in my life, and when you're in jail, it is not best to be thinking about what's going on outside of the outside in the world. When I got to rehab, they took my phone. About halfway through the rehab, they let us have our phones back because I guess they changed the policy. However, I told all of the people that I was at rehab that I had connected with and become friends with, and really a family with, and I told all of them, stay off your phone. Because I noticed within that first 2 weeks how much freedom I had just from not getting on social media and all of that. It was great. It was liberating. So I highly suggest get off social media at least 90 days. At least 90 days until you are not using, or until you are out of that depressed state. And really, once you get out of it because you're off social media, why in the world would you go back? There's nothing good on there. It's there's a few good things that we can use it for to reach people. You can do all of those things without social media as well. And now this one is not going to be for everyone. Number 3, relocate if you can. Okay, with me, since what had happened to me happened at 10, and because I started drinking when I was 14 and getting high when I was 15, and started using hardcore drugs like opiates and amphetamines and things like that in my 20s. But because I have done all of that and pretty constantly, especially in my earlier years, I really didn't have any sober time until like later 20s, when I was starting to actually give as much as I could to try to get off of it. But again, I was in that trench. I was not getting out. I was in that neural pathway. But for me, every street I went down, every person I talked to, every billboard, everything in that town, because I had been drunk, high, while going down those streets, while looking at that billboard, while talking to those people, all of it was just triggering me and putting me back into that neural pathways. Subconsciously, a lot of this stuff goes on subconsciously. We don't even know it. But our subconscious mind's like, oh, we're hanging out with Don again. Last time we hung out with Don, and the 35 times before that, we got drunk, so how about we get drunk again? So if you can relocate, maybe to the other side of town, maybe to a new city, I really think that was one of the things that really helped transform my life. I'm fairly certain that I could have gone back to my hometown and not used again, but I just would have been battling all the time. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to start new, start fresh. So if you do go to a rehab or something, I highly suggest you at least explore the option and pray about possibly moving to a different part of town, maybe even in a new city or state. Number 4, wake up in the morning, take a walk after you shower or before you shower, whatever works for you. When you start feeling depression or a craving, go take a walk. There's something about, God created nature to be a sort of therapy for us. And when we're stuck inside all day, we lose connection with God. We lose that connection with God's creation. But if we can take a walk, just a walk. And one thing, this is awesome. Audrey, if you ever get to see this, I really appreciate this. You taught me this. It's a mindfulness trick that is incredible, especially when you're walking. It's going to create a new neural pathway every single time. It's going to get you out of that old whatever you're feeling every single time. And that is, take a walk and observe 5 things that you can see, and really observe them. Like if you're looking at the sunset, really take it in and just notice all the colors and how the clouds are separated, and just really observe it. And then you do 4 things you can touch and actually pick up a leaf and feel how it's smooth. Touch a brick and feel the roughness of it. All of those things. 3 things that you can hear. And try not to just take the first things that you see or hear, but like really, it's weird when you start doing it. Usually on the beach is where I would do it. And when I would start doing it, I would focus and I would be like, all I can hear is the waves. But when I focused a little harder, I started hearing the people farther away talking. Focus a little harder, I could start hearing the birds. Focus a little harder, I hear a dog barking in the background. Anyway, that intentionality, that focus, you're pulling yourself out of that old neural pathway and you're creating a new one. Okay, 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and then 1 thing that you can taste. I usually can't taste anything else except for my bad breath or my vape. Speaking of, don't judge. I'm not there yet, Still stuck in this neural pathway. Okay, now that that's done. Fifth, learn. Learn. When you are learning something new, you are creating a new neural pathway. For me, what really did it for me and really helped my transformation was listening to TED Talks specifically about mindfulness and consciousness. Mindfulness though, start with mindfulness. There's a lot of really good videos on there, and I just type in on YouTube, TED Talks, mindfulness, and you'll get 30 videos, 35 videos. Just listen, they're all 10 minutes. Most of them are pretty good. And if you can practice those mindfulness tricks that they give you, it's going to aid in your transformation more than you can imagine. So, learn. A lot of times what I would do is I would learn while I was taking a walk, creating all kinds of new neural pathways that led to a positive emotion. And when I was done with the activity, learning and walking on the beach, I received a dopamine rush from that activity, and that created a positive emotion with that new neural pathway. So much like the old neural pathways would always lead to a negative emotion, now walking on the beach is always going to lead to a positive emotion. And why wouldn't it? You're walking on the beach, but this is just an example. It's just an example. Exercise, do anything that where your body's going to release that dopamine and you're going to start creating a positive emotion with that activity. It is extremely important to fill as much time as you can with these new activities, these new neural pathways, especially at the beginning. Remember, I said 30 to 40 days to create a good, solid new neural pathway. So, if you can do that more and more and more within those 30 days, as many times as you can, filling up as much of your brain and your time with new neural pathways and repeating those activities, you're going to be stuck in those good activities. And it's going to feel weird when you miss exercising or miss yoga. All of that. Okay? So that leads me to my next one, the sixth and final one, which is, and this is just add this in as you go. It's not going to be easy to meditate at first, and it's not going to be easy to pray or journal or anything. Anything is not going to be easy at first, but if you can add yoga, exercise, journaling, reading, praying, and meditating, those are the neural pathways that are going to complete your transformation. I highly recommend each and every single one of those. It was about the 10-week mark for myself when I was walking on the beach. I was listening to a TED Talks, and I started feeling kind of high. And so I called my mom. I said, what's going on? Can you look up the interactions of this medicine? And she said, why? And I explained to her the euphoria that I was feeling in my stomach. And I didn't want to start getting addicted to one of those drugs or whatever. But as I explained it to her, she paused for a moment. And she laughed. She said, I believe that's joy that you're experiencing, son. Just pure happiness. And she was right. It's been with me ever since. And that's really the reason for this channel. I have to impart this to at least one person through this video. God is the one that saved me. He gave me the tools to be an overcomer. If God just pushed a button on you and fixed everything, I'm sure that you would experience joy and contentment. But the satisfaction in life of overcoming all of those obstacles that used to deceive you and keep you in darkness, every single day I just experience more joy than I ever had. I'll just think, there's no way it could get any better. And then a week goes by and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's better. It's better. There's something to all of this. Okay? I tried for years to get off of drugs and to no avail, and was off of them quite a lot for a month, 6 weeks, half a year, 3 years. But I just did not have that freedom. But once I started creating these new neural pathways in my life and repeating them That's when my life began to transform. It's weird because really now I'm addicted to contentment. It's hard for me to really even watch a movie or listen to the radio anymore because, quite honestly, I've trained myself and created those neural pathways to where I get actually more dopamine rush from learning or meditating. And so that's my go-to now. And yeah, I'm still a dope addict, a dopamine addict, you know, and so are you. And so are all of us, okay? God created us to search for the things that release those good feelings, because he knows that when you get in a relationship with him, he's going to be able to release all that dopamine and serotonin the right way and give you the greatest contentment in your relationship with him. He wanted us to be addicted to our relationship with him. And I'm telling you, it's a good feeling. I mean, he literally created a physical dopamine and serotonin to be released when we are in a relationship with him. And when we are doing good things. And really that's what we're supposed to be addicted to. The enemy brings in alcohol, drugs, pornography, all of these things to try to release that dopamine and get you addicted to the wrong things. But that's what we're combating right now, right here, right now. So let me ask you a question. What are you addicted to? What's stealing your attention? What's taking your joy? Is it a phone? Toxic relationship? Alcohol? Drugs? Social media? Pornography? What is it? Why are you here? Why are you listening to this video? It's time to identify the problems and the things that are holding you back and to start to change them. And if you have been addicted to drugs or alcohol for longer than a year, you're going to need external help, outside help, therapy, or rehab. Now, if you've been addicted to opiates, amphetamines, cocaine for longer than 5 years, you have to go to rehab. You're not going to be able to get out. You might be able to get sober for a little while or whatever, or get out, but you're not. You're not. You got to go to rehab. Okay, it's rehab, jail, or dead. At the rehab I went to, they gave me the tools to live a free life. Hey, if you're still listening right now, I really appreciate it, and God bless you. May the transformation of your life be more than you could ever have dreamed. All right, peace!